So another quick take video on oligopoly. This is going to be continuing to look at Nash equilibrium, but now we're going to go back and look at our firms and see how it works in the world of duopoly. So back to what we talked about with Airbus and Boeing, we can see that here is their payoff matrix. Again, we can see that this is when they were producing 3 a week versus 4 a week. We can see that in the 3 week they were at 36 million. And again, we can see at 4 a week they dropped down to 32 million. Again, this would be Nash equilibrium. So again, it's the second best outcome. The idea is because they would benefit most if they were to not compete and to stick to producing 3 planes. But because they can't trust each other, they will settle for a second best outcome, which would be to make 4 planes a week, and then they would settle for this. Again, that's because of the inability to fully trust each other. We can see these different payoff matrices. Again, here we are with advertising. This is Coke and Pepsi. Again, if we look at it, we have different advertising budgets. So if they both advertise, then their payoff is 20 million each. If they both don't advertise, they can increase their profits to 50 million. The problem is, again, we're talking about companies that need to advertise, and advertisement has a big impact on human beings. And so if they don't, the consequences are quite huge. You could see that, like, if Pepsi were to advertise but Coca-Cola didn't, they would actually lose money. They would be losing money, not even making money, that at least in our sample. So the consequences are pretty massive. So of course they're both going to advertise. They're going to end up at Nash equilibrium, which is the second best outcome. And finally, we could just look at another kind of sample, which is research and development. Again, this one we're looking at Kimberly and Clark and Procter and Gamble. These are 2 firms in an oligopoly or a duopoly, and we can see that even though they're not even going to share the wealth, you can see this, that their best strategy, Procter and Gamble, is still making 70 million, and Kimberly and Clark is only going to make 30 million. That's because not everybody has to be equal in the oligopoly. There could be different firms that dominate. So they're going to settle for their second best outcome. Again, this is going to be Nash, and they're going to end up here, where Procter and Gamble is going to get 45 million, and Kimberly Clark's going to only get 5 million. You can see the consequences again are negative money. And so you don't want to end up in these squares, at least for these particular firms, in the numbers we're given. Again, when we're doing all this stuff and it's on tests, we're going to be given numbers, and then we're going to have to create these tables. Or sometimes we're going to be these tables and they're going to ask us to pick Nash equilibrium. Sometimes they're going to tell us the strategy and we're going to have to pick the correct box. So there's all kinds of test questions that come out of this, but just understand that the best possible outcome, this is the second best possible outcome, or Nash equilibrium, which is, again, by definition, the best possible outcome given what the strategy of the other firm would be. And again, these are just different outcomes if the things go horribly awry in the game. Okay?